Hop in the red, then I bought it, it's Liddy again. Slide a bit from the traffic and Liddy.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Mike Check Podcast. This is T-Word, the People's Champ. Thanks for tapping in. This is the Wednesday edition of The Booth. I think that's what we're going to call our midday streams, our mid-morning streams. We're going to call it The Booth. That way we get a little distinction. I don't know if you guys have paid attention, but we have a really specific playlist about different things that we have. You got court, you got on the court, basically. That's your NBA stuff. You have ringside, that's your boxing. I think it's called like the fast break or something. I don't remember for the basketball because we don't have that many videos on here for that yet. But then you also have, you got your fast break, you got your ringside, you got your quick reads for football. And then, of course, we got the live stream category, which I think the booth is appropriate. You know, that's what I've been calling it when we tap into the booth, you know. So I think it's a good representation of what the brand is. You know, it's like when you step in, you get in front of the mic, former MC, you know what I'm saying? I step into the booth and then we drop that thing. So I think that's the appropriate thing to go with. We're going to call it the booth from henceforth. So when you see it, just know what it is. It is the booth. So again, this is T-Word, the People's Champ. Thank you all for tapping in. We got a bunch of topics on deck today, so we're going to get into them one by one. And speaking of the NBA, we're going to start with that first. And and bear with me, guys, from clearing my throat and stuff. I got my water close by, but still just the last few effects of the COVID kind of still lingering around, but it's whatever. You know what I'm saying? That being said, we're going to start with the NBA, and the NBA All-Star Game has flopped again. It is the lowest rated and least watched, basically, in the modern era of this game being televised. What does that mean? Basically, it just means that nobody cares about the NBA All-Star Game. Honestly, I guess if I didn't cover it, I probably wouldn't watch the game. I'm more interested in like the skills competition and all the things surrounding it. Who got selected? The NFL has already gotten rid of the actual Pro Bowl, and now they do a skills competition and like a flag football game, which I think is number one, safer, number two, more fun. And I think if they could find a way to incorporate some other elements, kind of like, I don't know how old my listeners are out there, but if you can remember the Rock and Jock basketball and the Rock and Jock football games on MTV, man, when you think back to the 90s, it was kind of lit, bro. Like, you know, I was a teenager and I didn't realize how innovative these things were and how inclusive they were, because it was the first step before reality TV. So it was like you got to see the stars with the curtain peeled back a little bit, but it wasn't this current level of intensity where you're just completely immersed in the stars and the you know, the football and sports stars and the entertainment stars. You're not completely immersed in their lives. You just get a little taste, so you get to see their personalities a little bit. I think that the NFL is tapping back into that with their flag football version wrapped around the skills competition the weekend of the Pro Bowl. Makes sense to me. I think it's time for the NBA to maybe incorporate the same. I mean, they had a celebrity game, and then you have the actual NBA game. I think it all should just be one game, and this voluntary dudes get to play, and, you know, everybody just have some fun. But ultimately, it's going to kind of touch the brand on a different level. And I know that we see the stars a lot more. We're way more personal with everybody that's in media. We're way more personal with everybody that's a celebrity of some sort. So it's a little bit harder to hold people's attention and just get people to sit down and actually watch a game. And then if you watch a game that is almost meaningless, because think of this, the game, they score by the quarter, and then they set like a final target score for the fourth quarter. So it's like the first two. And I guess somebody thought that was the coolest idea ever. And I mean, all it does is just make sure that the game goes a certain amount of time, I guess you could say. But really, nobody's playing until the very end of the game. So it's like, how interesting is that concept really? So yeah, it was the least watched and lowest rated to date. So yeah, that's pretty weird. that they're still putting this game on. It's time for them to redo All-Star Weekend, because I guess the fans just aren't supporting the version that they have right now. Next up, um, so there's 9 fight cards coming up over the next 5 days, starting today. So we're gonna get into boxing, and let me pull these cards up. There's an app that I use. It's called Boxing Showtimes. It puts all the information up for the different cards. We're gonna kick off today with boxing, and this is gonna be on ProBox TV. You have Manuel Gallegos versus Richard Van Siglen. Um, This fight is super middleweight, so 168. Gallegos is 19-1 with 16 KOs, and Van Sicklen is 13-0 with 6 KOs. So you've got a contender and a high level prospect are going to be tangling in the main event. The fight will be available ad free for $199 on ProBox TV. So you can actually, or it's free on ProBox's Facebook and YouTube pages. So that's kind of weird. Like, so I guess YouTube and Facebook is maybe blocked in some countries, and that's why you have to go to their website. If you're a supporter of boxing, maybe you just pay the $2 because it's only $2, and it's good for the sport, for these to be supported. That's probably $2 well spent, to be honest. Maybe check that out. Let's see. So they're saying that Gallegos wants to face the top fighters in the sport, including Edgar Berlanga. I don't know if he won the top, maybe marquee fighters. Um, and then there's about 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 other fights on the card. There's actually a debut of Derek Centron. I don't know anything about him, but this might be interesting. This card is scheduled to start at 7 p.m. today. That's going to be on ProBox TV. You can go directly to their website, or you can watch it on Facebook or YouTube. All right. Thursday, there's going to be a card. There's going to be 2 cards on Thursday. One of them is going to be headlined by some women. You've got Heather the Heat Hardy, 23-2 with 4 KOs against former Brazilian champion Tana Cardoza, 5-1 with 1 KO. It's going to be an 8-round super featherweight fight. So these aren't the bigger ladies. Then you've got 2 other fights on that card: Frederick Julin, DeCarlo Perez, and Elan de Jesus, and Juan Pablo Meza. So those are going to be on that particular card. So go ahead and check that one out. That one is going to be on, it looks like it's something that's called Disruption. So, and this is Boxing Insider is the promoter. So you probably going to have to hunt that one down yourself. It looks like it's a pay-per-view card. All right, but also on Wednesday, you've got John Scrappy Ramirez. You may remember his last fight. He actually knocked his opponent out of the ring. He's a little firecracker. He's going to be fighting Luis Padilla. This is going to be tomorrow night, Thursday night. This one's going to start at 8 p.m. and it's going to be on the Zone. And a portion of this card is going to be on YouTube as well. So definitely check that out. Let's see. Who else is on this card? Manuel Flores, Lorraine Villalobos. So you got a women's minimum weight 6-round fight on there. Zachary Spiller, a 4-round fight. There's some heavyweights. You've got some female bantamweights. Stephanie Cohen, looks like the A side. And then Grant Flores, super welterweight. So 154 4-rounder. So these are going to be very young fighters. As far as the co-main event, let's see. Marvin Solano is 24-8 with 8 KOs, and Manny Flores is 14-0 with 11 KOs. So he's the big prospect on here, and this is at bantamweight, so that's 118 pounds. So this is somebody that might be eventually competing for the belts that were vacated by Noya Inoue before he moved up to face Stephen Fulton. So that's 2 days of boxing right there. We already started the week off with a bang with that. And then we've got Friday. Get this music popping. Y'all let me know if it's too loud. All right, Friday you got, let's see, this is called, let's see, Boxing Returns to Hialeah Park. Rigondeaux versus Jesus Martinez. I'm trying to see who's broadcasting this. I can't find the broadcaster on here. But it's a pay-per-view fight. Uh, so Rigondeaux's 23 with one draw, 13 knockouts. Martinez is 33 and 17 with one draw and 16 knockouts. All right. Who else is on this card? Nobody of note that I can think of, but there are. So there's total of 10 fights on this card on pay per view. So honestly, that's really not bad. You know what I'm saying? Not bad at all. 10 fights. I don't know what the cost is going to be, but if you go check it out, this is going to be in Florida at the Malaya Park Racing and Casino. This starts at 5 o'clock on Friday. Also on Friday, starting at 9 p.m. on Fight TV, it's called Tapia Fight Night, and this is going to be done through Triller. So this one looks to be. I think this one is a pay per view as well. So the main event is going to be Jason Sanchez at Andy Beltran. This is a 10-round featherweight fight, and you're looking at Beltran is 6-0 with 3 KOs. Sanchez is 14-3 with 8 KOs. So somebody might get taken out. If you're a betting person, you might want to put some money up. Also on the card, you've got Josh Torres versus Sharif Rahman. That's welterweight. Nico Hernandez, Gilberto Mendoza. That's a flyweight. Jose Luis Sanchez, Reggie Harris Jr., super welterweight. Abel Mendoza and Ernesto Guerrero, super welterweight. And then Lorenzo Benavidez and Jordan Gregory at middleweight are going to start the card off, okay? All right, so let's quickly run through this Saturday stuff. So Saturday around 2 o'clock, Floyd Mayweather is going to fight Aaron the Joker Chalmers. All right. Yep, Floyd back in the ring. Let's see. I think I picked Floyd by points on this one. So Floyd retired 50-0. This is an exhibition fight. Chalmers is 1-0, so he's actually a professional boxer now. Mayweather's 45, and this MMA guy, we'll see what comes of it. Natalie Nunn and Tommy Lee are on this card. 3 rounds. I don't know what weight they're going to be at because it says TBA. That's really it. Let's see who else is on. Let's see. So also Saturday night, Showtime has a card. PBC. You're going to get Sabril Matias versus Jeremiah Ponce. That should be a really good fight. Matias is 18-1 with 18 KOs, so he either knocks you out or he loses. And then Ponce is 30-0 with 20 KOs. And this is for the vacant 140-pound IBF belt. So we're actually going to do a video breakdown on this one later and maybe even give you some betting odds. So be sure to tune back in for that later this week. We may just do it live on the Friday show. Remains to be seen. Jamal James is going to be on this card against Alberto Palmetta. 10-round fight, and Elvis Rodriguez will face Joseph Adorno in another 10-round fight. So that's a welterweight and super lightweight, respectively. So this is a basically 140 and undercard. There's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's going to be 6 fights on the untelevised version, which should be on Showtime. Okay. All right. So that's your Saturday. On Sunday, you've got 2 cards. You got Jake Paul against Tommy Fury. And then you've got another card at 6 p.m. It's going to be another pay-per-view. And this is Nestor Bravo versus Jair Valtierra. All right. So let's talk about that Jake Paul and Tommy Fury for a second. Is it boxing yet? And I don't know if you all caught the live stream where we talked to Doug Fisher. We've got it posted on our channel. So be sure to check that out. I just don't understand what the buzz is with Jake Paul, because to me, he's just not it. He's not a real boxer to me. I don't know. I don't believe in the skills. I think that he has enough ability to beat significantly flawed boxers or fighters, but I don't think he has the skill to beat an actual boxer. If you dig what I'm saying. Like, I don't think that he can do what it takes to be the real boxer at any time in the near future. And he might develop into a good fighter. I just don't see it in him. So I personally don't necessarily support what the WBC is saying. If he can beat Tommy Fury, they're going to rank him. What has he done to deserve a ranking necessarily? I mean, he's probably already got ranking on BoxRec, but should any of the sanctioning bodies be ranking Jake Paul right now when he hasn't really beat a legitimate boxer yet? And even if you say that Tommy Fury is a legitimate boxer, he's not really fought anyone. Um, I don't think Jake is fighting the people that are developing his skills. He's fighting people with popularity, because otherwise, what I this is what will make me respect Jake Paul more. If he took fights in between his major fights, like off network, just go in there and fight somebody that's also a non-championship level fighter, a startup, a prospect. This prospect could be 5-5, whatever. 3-3, whatever they might be. Get in the ring with some prospects, beat their ass, and but develop your skills. Like go get the ESPN prospect package where they put them in decent but not too tough fights, but entertaining and competitive fights, which is developing their skills. Do one of those in between your big pay-per-views. Maybe do two of those between your big pay-per-views. And your record's going to grow. You've got things that you're adding to your highlight reel, and eventually people are going to take you seriously because you're taking the true prospect path. So when you finally do get ranked or whatever, boxing fans can say, you know what? He's doing the work. That dude goes to camp. He's fighting often. He's staying in shape. Yeah, he beating up on, tomato cans of C-level fighters, but he's doing the work that we respect as boxing fans. I think that in itself would definitely raise his profile. And I think more people will support his fights because they will respect him as a real fighter. So, not too interested in whatever Jake Paul um, got going on, just to be honest. All right, so another thing I want to touch on, and then we're going to get into. Actually, there's two things I want to touch on. One of them is Tank Davis and Rolly Romero actually linked up, or they ran into each other at Mayweather's boxing gym, and they dapped each other up or whatever. Tank asked Rolly if he was asleep or if he was still asleep, and Rolly said, "I just woke up." So, and I think it might have went over Rolly's head or whatever, but I thought it was fun, or maybe he was trolling back. But no love lost. I thought it was cool. They went and made some money together. Almost a year later, they meet in person for the first time in almost a year, and it's all PC. The fact that Tank was over at the Mayweather gym, that also says there's likely no level of beef there between him and Floyd Mayweather or Leonard Ellerby. So good to see men be good men. What up, Lefty? What up, though? The worst thing, Chicken Talk says, the worst thing Paul could do is take the real boxing route and try to please boxing fans. Ain't no money in that. Yeah, I mean, I agree the money's not there, but you don't think he could do both? Like fight some real fights just off air. Go and just do some club shows and it'll bolster his record. And he'll probably be getting them knockouts that he's trying to have anyway, because he's fighting, C-level dudes that's there to be an opponent, that's there to be beat up. But it's going to develop his skills to where I think I think he could actually sell more if he was looked at as closer to a legitimate boxer than he is. That's just my opinion, though. Because it's just hard to, like, you're putting real non-boxers in front of you, and then people got to pay to see it. And there's just better skills on display elsewhere. But I get your perspective on that. So the other thing I was going to bring up is David Benavidez got trolled by Caleb Plant, and David Benavidez got trolled by Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant went and bought davidbenavidez.com. And the first thing that popped in my head wasn't like, wow, this dude's an asshole or that's childish. It was like, why don't you own your name? Like, why don't you own the name of your domain? Like, that just doesn't, that blew my mind. I don't know if it's the tech in me because I build websites and stuff like that. So the first thing I tell people when they talk about building a business, hey, if you're going to name your business after yourself, go get the website with your name on it and just buy that domain. Whether we build it or not, try to buy that domain out and register it for several years. So no matter when you decide to start, you own it. And whether you're going to sell merch with your name on it, whatever, your branding is already set. And then you go out and buy your secondary domains after the fact. But go and secure that joint off top. So it was just kind of funny that he didn't already own it. I was like, yo, what's up with this? But I thought it was a pretty good troll move from Caleb Plant. He kind of like low key funny in a way, not like haha funny, just kind of like, oh, okay, I see you, kind of like giggle funny. I think David Benavidez is very locked in and taking them so seriously. Because I've seen David do some humorous things here and there, and he just doesn't seem to be giving it humor. Like he's definitely business. Like I feel like he wants to kick Caleb's ass for real. Not just like, oh, I beat people up for a living. I feel like he really wants to beat his head in. So we'll see how this all turns out. Some people are saying trolling David is going to get Caleb beat up even worse, but I mean, Caleb's a fighter. He's going to come in there ready to go. So another thing I wanted to talk about today is Conor Benn. So I've got it on the screen. This is a snippet I grabbed. And the what isn't part of the snippet. That's my response. But this is basically the WBC. Mr. Benn's documented and highly elevated consumption of eggs during the times relevant to the sample collection raised a reasonable explanation for the adverse finding. They basically saying like, oh, we don't think he tried to do anything, like he didn't intentionally consume too much of these substances or whatever, but he ate a lot of eggs. He took in a lot of eggs, and it ended up making him piss dirty. So I'm like, I wonder how big the check was to get them to say that, because that's crazy. Like, so we're just gonna blame the eggs. It's like we could blame the eggs, we could blame tea, we could blame meat, we could blame everything but the people who actually open their mouths and consume these substances. We blaming everything else. So for those listening that may not know, I got a couple different. I wear a couple different hats. One of them is IT professional, and that's all around. Whatever it is, I can answer pretty much any question. The other is personal trainer. That's what I do full time, day to day. Um, and so I'm pretty well versed in supplements and understanding about getting ready for an event, athletes putting substances in their body, things of that nature. And the first thing when I talk to people about supplements, I ask them, what other medications are you on? Because you may not necessarily have an adverse effect of one or the other, but drug interaction is an important piece of information to know. How do these two substances work together, and what will they produce in the urine or blood sample? Um, if you're an athlete, there has to be somebody on your team that's very well versed in drug interaction. Number two, somebody should be measuring what amounts of anything you're taking into your body. Um, I'm not saying always use strictly organic if you're an athlete or whatever. You could get what you get. It's just you have to have a nutritionist that understands what your dietary needs are based on what your training regimen is. And then from there, they're going to manage and regulate the different levels of whatever might be in your body. The issue that I look at is, okay, you've got all this different crap that you're taking in, and nobody's checking, like, is this really helping? Is this going to get us dirty? Or the truth of it is you're probably on some type of substance to mask something else. So it's kind of like, if you're putting just anything in your body, or you just trusting everybody to walk in and hand you something so you can say, oh, I don't know, I got people that do that for me. It's your career, not theirs. Those people will go on and they could get caught cheating or something. Look at the Balco dude. I don't know why it's just like escaping my brain right this second, but anyway, look at him. Oh, Victor Conti. So this dude taught Olympic and professional athletes how to cheat, right? And then now he's allowed to be a company that's supposedly keeping athletes clean. So his career is resurrected. But as an athlete, if you're to test dirty, that stain's gonna be on you forever, and people are always gonna hold it against you. People are actually going over here spending money to work with Victor Conti. So there's a little difference right there. Um, Let me see. Chicken Talk says, my problem with boxing fans is they expect more from Jake Paul than real boxers. Ramirez fighting Comey instead of Regis is more egregious than anything Jake Paul has done. Well, yeah, I don't disagree with that either. I do think that expecting him to fight championship level boxers right now is kind of ridiculous. That's why I said more the actual prospect route. I think I would have a more vested interest in him because he says things like, I'm really into this. I want to be a boxer. If your lips say you want to be a boxer and then you're kind of being an influencer boxer, those things are a little bit contradictory to me. Chicken Talk says the WBC hired a nutritionist to overturn the results of scientists and doctors is a joke. Yeah, I agree. Like I said, the check was cut because there's no way this makes sense to me. If you are a professional, there's people that you pay to make sure that you run clean if your intention is to be clean. Now, by that same token, if you're a professional and your intention is to run dirty, then you're going to you're going to be a dirty fighter and do what you have to do to cover it up. So I don't know. Ultimately, when it comes to like just substances and people trying to abuse different things, I think like for me, I don't have an issue with things that help people cut weight because I think it actually puts you at a disadvantage. Like if you cut weight wrong, you're going to come in weaker. Your punch resistance and your ability to bring the power is probably going to be diminished because you cut weight wrong. So you're really hurting yourself. So if you want to cheat in a way that's kind of like not, it's like a net negative most of the time, then you go right ahead and do that. Um, but if you're trying to do something to enhance your ability, which from what it sounds like, Connor was using something else going to enhance. All right, let's see. When you get a chance, when you get a chance, go look at David Benavidez' first 4 fights and see what happened to them after fighting him. Paul's first couple of opponents are better. Really? I would have to go and see. I would have to go and see. So I think the difference is so maybe this is what I probably should have included in my initial statement. Jake Paul is charging people pay-per-view. I mean, there's people willing to pay it, so I'm gonna put that caveat out there. There's always somebody willing to pay. He's putting things on pay-per-view that the average prospect has showing up on regular TV. I think that's the difference. Like if you just want to show like you got some skills you've been training, um, asking people to pay 40, 50, $60 for that, I don't know that that's a good bargain for fight fans. I think for influencer boxing fans, that's probably a really good deal because they just want to see what Jake can do and they just want a night of entertainment. And on Sports Media J, what up though? Says Michelle Rivera team calling Conor Benn and WBC to help his case. For real, for real. Yeah. Because Paul has built an audience, has a built-in audience. He has an audience willing to pay. Right. And that's what I'm saying. I mean, I know that there's people out there that's gonna spend money on it. So, you know, I can't hate you for doing what lines your pockets. I just think that just kind of be clear that that's what it is instead of him saying, hey, you see I'm out here putting his work in and kind of selling the dream of that you really want to be a boxer but you really don't. You just want to use a lane to make money doing something that you actually enjoy doing and have fun doing. And that's okay if he just say that, man, I'm just out here trying to get a bag and have some fun. There's nothing wrong with that because literally that's what kind of football is. Yeah, he could charge him. I think his rhetoric is what kind of puts me off about him. Why I said like I would just like to see him fight more people and really develop his skills. And if you say, "Hey, I really want to be a boxer," fight a little bit more. Fight some dudes that are looking to make a name and don't already have a name, and you can fight them off air. Like you go fight them in the gym. Just go get his sanction, go fight him, and then add it to your highlight reel, and just keep building your legacy that way. Because once he's done with boxing, he's just gonna drop it. He's not gonna make a graceful exit. He's just gonna be like, "All right, I'm done." Like, cause he was like trying to retire after Woodley or whatever, quote unquote, retire. So it's a weird dynamic that is at play here with Jake Paul. But I don't know how long it's gonna last. But I'm thinking I don't think he'll lose because he's not gonna put himself in jeopardy to lose. I think that he's gonna just quit while he's ahead. Like he'll probably get to what 10 wins because he's at what 6 or 7 now. He'll probably get to 10 wins and just call it a career. Be like, man, I made my money. I got my belt that I made myself, and I'm out. So I think that that's the path on that. All right, so let me see something else I had on here. So it looks like you got Jamal Charlo, and Jerron Boots Ennis are looking to be on a card June 17th, and they're saying that it might be in Houston. That's the early word from what I've seen. That will be pretty good. We see holding them to a higher standard than real boxers. We see a lot of guys claim they want to fight all these guys, but never do. Their rhetoric is no different. Now, I agree with that too. And they're held to that same standard, saying you want to fight this one, want to fight that one, but never make it happen. Um, I kind of got to look away from them dudes too. Like, all right, well, if you say you want to fight them within 20, I would say within 12 months, unless there's a contractual obligation stopping you, they should be fighting too. I get that once the contract signs, it is what it is. But, the pump faking in boxing is ridiculous. So, I mean, I will hold him to the same standard. Again, if he says he's a real boxer, I'm going to hold him to the standard. I will hold Gervonta Davis, Errol Spence. Like, EJ ain't fought in almost a year. And it's like, hey, you say you want undisputed, you want all these different things, make it happen, ready to see that. Terrence Crawford, same thing. You say you the best, but you're not proving it fight after fight. Devin Haney's, well, his dad really, but Team Haney says a lot of different things. And then you sign on to fight Kambosos twice, and then a third fight with Loma or whatever fighter to be named according to Bob. So it's kind of like, I agree with you that there's a whole lot of rhetoric and these guys never really getting in the ring with each other. I hold them all to the same standard. If you say you're a fighter, your main thing is to fight. But we're in the money age now, so I don't think that actually happens. Let me see. So, yeah, June 17th. Hey, Lefty, what you know about that? June 17th, and is Houston a real possibility, or is that just being said because that's Charlo's home and they're just trying to make it easy? I mean, I don't even know who you put on that card that's out of like the Houston, Texas or area or what have you. Because I feel like that's what PBC is kind of moving towards now. They're filling out their cards with semi-local guys so they can make it inexpensive fight cards, which I mean, I'm super cool with. I don't have any issues with that. Semi-local fight cards that are filled with their fighters that have been a bit inactive and just getting them some good work against guys that they can beat. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good opportunity to see some good fights. I just don't know who you put on that card yet, but I don't have that mental Rolodex of fighters home states, home cities, besides like the major fighters. I can't think of everybody that's from certain areas, but any fighter from Texas, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Mississippi, Florida, I would say that's fairly close enough to get them on this card, and get them into a good fight and just kind of load it up. So it'd be good to see Big Charlo back in the ring for sure. It'd be really cool to see Boots go in there. They're saying that by that time he'll probably be like the IBF title holder, the full title holder, and that's all speculation until it's not. I don't know that Spence is going to drop his belt. That's just what Team Ennis is hoping, but we'll see though. So that was all my topics for today. I'm going to leave it right there and close it out. Again, so we're going to name this the booth instead of just the Mic Check live stream. This is the booth, our daily podcast, 11 a.m. Central Time. Hopefully you all have enjoyed. This has been T Word with the Mic Check podcast. Until the next time, I'm out. Peace.